Hello, guys. Can you please just let me know that you can hear me? If you just drop me a text, it would be great. Yes, okay. So thank you for joining in, and I hope you're going to have a good discussion tonight. So let me start with the first few questions. The first one is how do you approach fat loss if the goal is to go from 12% down to 9%? High number of steps, protein, fat ratio, etc. Well, I'm not a big believer in these measurements and this 12%, 9%. I mean, nobody can tell you that exactly. So this is the first thing that I don't really pay much attention to. You will know how good your progress is only by doing photos on a regular basis. Let's say every 2 weeks, you do the photos of yourself in the same place, same light. Let's say every Sunday morning, every 2 weeks, and then you can see if you are progressing or not. Now, how do you do that? There are obviously a few ways to do it. The most important factor in fat loss is actually diet. So when you adjust your diet accordingly, the body will start using more body fat and less protein or carbohydrates. So as long as you're eating carbohydrates, that is going to be difficult. But protein to fat, I advise in general 2 to 1. So if you're on 300 grams of protein, you should be on 150 grams of fat. And if that doesn't bring you to the condition that you want, you should go down to, let's say, 100 grams of fat. So maybe 2 to 0.5. But that is something that you need to experiment. Training should always be the same. Training doesn't change because training doesn't burn fat anyway. Okay, the second question was in a fat loss phase and feel like I can't do the rep range intensity of the normal workouts you suggest. Do you change the workouts during fat loss or it stays the same regardless of goal? I just answered that training never changes. If you do everything right, you will be able to do everything. Nothing should go down in your performance. So, but if you cut your protein or if you don't eat enough, if you don't sleep right, then obviously things will go in a wrong direction. So everything stays the same. You just need to keep going and getting in shape, especially getting in, let's say, competitive shape, is not easy at all. It's very difficult and is a long process. It takes consistency, discipline, and obviously your training and your nutritional plan have to be perfect, because if they are not, you can't expect much. So it all boils down to knowledge and also experience. I'm 10% body fat and I just got hernia surgery. I had this hernia before lifting. Will I lose all my gains if I don't lift for 6 weeks? I'm getting in the protein. Well, 6 weeks is a longer period of inactivity, so you may experience some loss of muscle tissue, but that should be coming back easily, because muscle recovers quickly after periods of inactivity. Also, I had few clients who had hernia surgery, but I don't know, they didn't really stay away from training for 6 weeks. They didn't do legs maybe for 2, 3, 4 weeks, but after a week or two, they were in the gym doing upper body. So, I mean, I can't suggest anything. I mean, you can talk to your surgeon, but you have to be sensible, obviously. I follow your prescribed set range of 8 to 12, max 15, and keep my rest to 45 seconds to 1 minute. After the first set of 15, however, I'm seeing a drop of 8 to 10 reps in second set. Should I drop weight? You see, this is something that I talk about all the time in my videos, and the problem with maintaining enough reps in succeeding sets is directly related to experience, right? I did yesterday. I did legs, and I did, if I remember, eight sets of leg press. And I started with 25 reps, and I managed to do 8 sets, and the last set was 12 reps. So not many people can do that. Not to mention people my age, but even people in the gym, because they're simply not used to it. So you need to adapt. What I'm saying is very intense. This is what most people don't understand. I'm not in favor of big weights, huge weights and low reps, because this is not bodybuilding. But bodybuilding workout is very difficult, it's very intense. So when I do legs, I try to rest anyway 60 to 90 seconds, and I go into the second set. And nobody can train legs with me in the gym, even semi-professionals. They can't do that. They rest 4 or 5 minutes. It's because they rely on something else. They rely on steroids instead of training. My major factor in maintaining my size, because I'm not trying to get bigger now, is training. I'm not taking any steroids. So the problem with people is that people don't get used to it. So it will take time. In the beginning, you may end up doing only 3 sets. You start 15 is a lot for upper body, especially. If you can do 15, you should increase the weight, and then in next session you will probably drop back down to 12. But 12 to 8, if you drop under 8, if you end up doing last set with 7 reps or 6 reps, this is your last set. It's not end of the day because you didn't do 8, because I said it has to be 8. I always said it doesn't have to be 8. I'm giving you guidance, giving you parameters, so you use this as principle. But if you do, let's say, 12 reps in the first set, then 10 in the second, maybe 8, 9 in third, you can squeeze another one. Maybe you end up 6, 7 reps, and that will be fine. This is perfect. So if you manage to go to 15, that means that you're becoming stronger, and you should increase the weight for 5%, not more than that, because I heard so many people are saying you increase the weight by 10%. It's absolute nonsense. You will never progress properly if you increase weight for 10%. Next time you're going to do 6 reps. So what is going to be the second set? So 5%, this is max. Probably even less, doesn't really matter. And as you go, you will be developing cardiovascular endurance responsible for this type of training. This is not the same as running around and doing some low intensity, long duration exercises. That will adapt you for something else. But bodybuilding itself is extremely cardiovascular exercise. People don't understand that because they don't train like bodybuilders. But if you do 45, 50 minutes with rest periods of max 60 seconds, you will understand what I'm talking about. So with bodybuilding workout, you do everything. You do high intensity, you perform enough cardiovascular engagement, which is absolutely essential for this type of training. And you will, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I think that's the thing that you should pay attention to. Okay, let me see another question. Is there any risk of high protein diet? Yes, there is a risk of high protein diet. I did a video on that, so you can watch that video to get a little bit more in detail the answer to your question, especially if you eat high protein but low fat. So then you can run into problems. But as I just mentioned, I advise 2 to 1. So 2 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat. And if you eat in that ratio, or some people can even go 1 to 1. So if they eat 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of fat, and stay in shape, then that's fine. But my experience and experience of most of my clients is that to stay in shape and perform in best possible way, you should be uh, keeping that ratio 2 to 1. So apart from that, there is no problem with high protein diet because you will never be able to eat too much protein. The body has mechanisms that basically signal you that you are full. You can't eat more. If I give you 20 boiled eggs, how many you're going to eat? You're going to eat 3, 4, maybe 5, and that's only 30 grams of protein. So protein is not something that you can overeat easily unless you drink protein shakes, which I don't advise, exceptionally after workouts, or if you are in situation that you don't have a meal, that would be the best junk food that you can have. But you will never run into high protein if you stick to eggs, meat, fish. You will always eat enough, as much as your body can consume, not more than that. The same applies to fat, actually. Vascularity is a lot lower, almost non-existent when on carnivore. Is that normal, or is there a common reason why? Well, I'm completely opposite. My legs are covered in veins. I did legs yesterday, and people think that I'm getting ready for the show. My arms are covered in veins. I did another video, and I think this is the video that came out today. And I was in t-shirt, so I showed my arms. I mean, I don't want to take this off now, but they're covered in veins. I don't have that problem. So this is another false accusation of carnivore diet. Usually, people who can't get rid of carbs for whatever reason, they simply have to find reasons and excuses to continue eating carbs. But this is absolutely not the case. I competed 46 times, not just me, but all the competitors that I knew, and they were all covered in veins, and everybody was doing good 2 months, if not longer, almost zero carbs to get into that shape. Most of us, especially in the later stages when we learned the trade, we didn't even do carb loading because that was very dangerous and often fired back. So I lost few shows because of that nonsense of carb loading, right? So yeah, there's nothing to do with vascularity. Vascularity is also down to the individual. Some people are simply covered in veins, some are not. So it's not much to do with carnivore diet. How many pounds of muscle can a natural gain in a year? This is again down to individual. Depends on many different factors. Depend on hormones, depending on how much testosterone you produce naturally, how much growth hormone, your insulin sensitivity, your diet, your genetic predispositions, etc., etc. So in the beginning, naturals put quite much weight in muscles, but as they progress, that slows down. So obviously, even people on steroids cannot put muscles every year, every more and more, because they would end up being big like a house. So this doesn't happen simply because we have mechanisms that stop us to grow exponentially. One of them is called myostatin, which is a hormone that actually stops muscle from growing and stops also cancer cells from growing. So you see, it's not easy. I remember my son jumped quite a lot in first couple of years. His weight went from probably 70 to 86, 87 in first year and a half. But this is because he started eating properly, started eating 5, 6 eggs a day, more meat, more chicken, more fish, and less carbohydrates. So obviously insulin sensitivity improved dramatically. And this is why he experienced such great results. Let me see what else is there. What else is there? Hi, Dr. Josic. Could you elaborate more on when to stretch, or even if one should stretch? Also, what should we do regarding warm-up sets? Is it only the first set? Yeah, this is another big hype in fitness about stretching. I don't know where it comes from, probably from athletics. Athletes, especially sprinters and people running 200, 400 meters and others, they used to stretch a lot. And they ended up having a lot of injuries. So they realized actually that stretching, especially before they started running, caused more injuries. So they stopped doing it. Stretching, I don't really know what is the benefit of stretching. Yeah, you just feel your muscles. You can do it for the sake of feeling the muscle. You can spend some time doing a little movements in order to psych yourself up to focus on the training which is coming. But no stretching and no warm up will prepare you for your bench press or for squats or for leg press. This is impossible. I'm just going to give you a little story, a funny story that whenever people ask me about stretching, I like to tell them this, so you will remember this. Look at nature, right? So imagine a gazelle drinking water in the pond, and the lion starts approaching the gazelle. And just before the lion starts running, gazelle says to the lion, "Wait, I need to stretch first, and also you better stretch because you can pull the muscle." So they stretched a couple of minutes, and then she said, "Now you can chase me." It doesn't work like that. Gazelle sees the lion and just jump and runs for her life. When did you see a gazelle pulling the muscle? Never. So we are just inventing things in order to, I don't know, to confuse clients, or, when these cowboy personal trainers, when they start stretching their clients 5-10 minutes before, 5-10 minutes after session, because they don't know what to do. So they need to fill the time with some nonsense. Stretching is not going to help you at all. So you can't get better, bigger muscles. You can't prevent injuries if you stretch. If you want to do yoga and be able to put your legs behind your neck, and you think that's important, fine, do it. But that has nothing to do with muscle growth and prevention of injuries. Also, when it comes to warm up, there is nothing like that. Warm up is again another bias. So when you can do a few simple movements, moving your shoulders, and again, even that doesn't matter, because you're not going to start producing that synovial liquid, which is very important for your joints, before you start doing the exercise. So your first set, if it's right form, if it's right time under tension, right weight, will be everything that you need to do in order to get ready. During that set, you are already warming up those particular joints and muscles that you're using. So everything else, 10-20 minutes on the bike or treadmill, again, what for? To raise body temperature? For what? When you take those weights and you do that biceps curls, the tendon that is in question is the biceps tendon attached to your elbow. How are you going to warm that up? So perfect form, slow motion, especially eccentric, because this is what happens all the time. People are dropping the weights, and that actually shifts the stress from the muscle to the tendon, causing injuries. So no holy warm-up or stretching will prevent that. But training, focusing, and following those principles that I emphasize in every video will take you a long way without injuries. What do you think about Atkins diet? Well, Atkins diet, I don't approve that because it's full of fat. That diet, you simply have to stick to natural food. If you eat your eggs, if you eat your meat, your fish, you're going to have all the fat that you need. You don't need extra fat. You don't need butter, extra coconut oil, extra olive oil, just extra something in order to put more fat, because food that we are meant to eat has already everything in perfect proportions. So if you eat, for example, chicken breast, this is pure protein. This is inferior to chicken legs because chicken legs have more fat and also have collagen, because in all these connective tissues surrounding those chicken legs. So choose always chicken legs. Now, if you just have chicken breast and you want to get some fat, you can put some cheese on the top if you tolerate cheese. And if cheese melts on the top, it's fine, but keep that ratio between protein and fat 2-to-1, because people usually end up eating too much fat on carnivore diet. And I have countless number of people coming to me and saying, "Yeah, oh yeah, I went on carnivore diet for 3 months and I got fat. This was the worst thing that I ever done. Yes, because you were eating too much fat. So the body can only absorb certain amount of fat. And after that, what the body is going to do with extra fat is going to store it somewhere, and you're going to end up fat. I even have clients that I'm working with, and this was their main problem. So when they said to me, "Oh, I'm eating 150 grams of protein and 400 grams of fat," it's amazing. So you're going to end up fat. I never did it in my life. So there were some. This is Atkins diet basically. It's just put as much fat as you can, and you're going to be all right. But not necessarily. I don't agree with it. How many meals per day for optimal muscle building? And does it change if the goal is fat loss? Well, this is very debatable, right? So I came to the conclusion that the best number of meals per day is actually less meals, not more meals. Now, in golden era, Arnold, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubre, even Frank Zane, all these people, they kept it secret. Arnold was always lying to everybody, even his best friends. But they ate 3 times per day. Serge Nubre ate twice per day, sometimes once. There are a lot of people who eat twice per day, and they have fantastic results. I've done the video on that. You can go and watch the video in which I explain everything in detail. But the main reason why 2 meals with more protein will be much more helpful for muscle growth and fat loss is that your body will have time to reset itself between the meals. So if you eat twice per day or 3 times per day, and the time between the meals is, let's say, 5 hours, this is what I do. I don't measure really time, but I eat 3 times per day. So I eat at 11 or 10, and then I eat at around 4, and then I eat again around 9. So usually it comes about 5 hours in between meals. What happens? The body has a sustainable influx of amino acids. So when you have, let's say, 70, 80, 100 grams of protein, whatever, regarding your requirements per meal, your body will slowly start digesting that because you're eating protein and fat. The digestion will be slow, and the amino acids, protein will break down slowly into peptides, and then it break down into amino acids. So you're going to have slow release, constant, sustainable uptake of amino acids during the day. Now, when you eat chicken breast and rice every 2 hours, you're going to have spike not just of glucose because of rice, because it's a very high glycemic index, but you also, because your protein in chicken is no fat there, you're going to have spike in amino acids. So especially insulin is there as well. So that is not going to end up all in the muscle because spikes are not good. And every time you have those spikes, the body will just absorb as much as the body can absorb. But when you have more than the body can absorb at that particular time, the rest will go either for energy or will be stored into fat cells. So this is something that people don't understand. And also, another very important thing, I hope you will all remember this, is that between the meals, longer hours between the meals will lower your insulin production. So you will be on a lower amount of insulin during the day. That will increase your insulin sensitivity. And this is critical for muscle growth and fat loss. So muscle growth and fat loss, they go together. So you can get big and stay lean. And clever people do that. While the other ones like to get fat and stay fat for 9-10 months per year. Amateurs, semi-professionals, professionals, I've seen it all. They get so fat you wouldn't recognize them. I don't want to mention names, but I've seen some of them, which I know very well. Unrecognizable. The face will just go double. And this is not good. This is very bad for your health, obviously. But, this dogma, this stigma about eating 6-7 meals a day has prevailed, and people still doing it because people like to eat a lot. People are even buzzing about it on internet. Some professional, ex-professional bodybuilders are saying, "Oh, in the off season, I would eat burgers, I would eat this, I went up to 300 pounds. And what? And then you struggle, you kill yourself, you poison yourself with all kind of chemicals in order to get in shape for whatever professional show it is or Olympia. Amazing, isn't it? Very intelligent. So why would you get fat in order to lose that fat? Oh, they come up with ideas. If you have to put on weight to get bigger. No, you don't, because physiologically muscle has nothing to do with fat. So basically, watch that video that I mentioned, and you will learn a little bit more about why fewer meals will give you more when it comes to building muscle and staying lean at the same time. Let me see what else is there. Carol Varga, thank you very much for your support, for your sticker. I really appreciate that, guys. That helps, and everybody else who is the member of the channel also very much. Thank you very much for all of you, because that all helps grow the channel better and faster. And Carol Varga was asking, thank you for your incredible content. What are your thoughts on putting spices like hot chili peppers in your food? Yeah, thank you very much for your comment, number one. Number two, I'm not big fan of putting hot spices, especially because they can irritate your small intestine, especially lining of the small intestine and endothelial cells. You don't want irritation there. You see, that lining of your small intestine is very important. This is actually where absorption of amino acids happens. So you want that to be extremely sensitive. You want to allow your villi, your surface of small intestine to be unaffected by any seasoning, any flavorings, anything like that. Because if it's affected, the absorption of amino acids will be much lower. Also, too much fiber can irritate small intestine and can actually scrape amino acids much faster than they can get absorbed. So I'm not big fan of these spices. If you put them occasionally and don't put too much. That's my best advice. But in general, I would advise to stick to as little as possible. All right, let me see what else is there. Do you recommend eliminating any foods when the goal is fat loss, such as dairy? Just stick to meat and eggs. Well, some people may experience problem with dairy. Some people no. I've seen people that I actually used to train with together, and we prepared for the shows many times, and they would eat low-fat cottage cheese, and they would end up shredded. So some people can react well, some people not, but you have to experiment with that. Also, I know people that I prepared as well, who were eating just eggs, meat, and fish, nothing else, especially liver as well. Just eggs, liver, and fish predominantly, and they would end up like in phenomenal shape. So you need to experiment, try, and see what works for you. Because if you can add a little bit of cottage cheese to your diet or some very low fat, obviously your diet will be much more palatable. But when it comes, depending on how much fat you want to lose. So if you're really talking about shredding yourself and being really dry, then you need to experiment. But most people experience better results when they cut dairy. Duke O'Neill, thank you very much for your support as well, for your help. I really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you again. When trying to get to single body fat percentage, is the goal just to maintain muscle or build as well? If you just want to maintain, isn't minimal workout more effective to minimize fatigue? Well, if you minimize your workout, if you drop your intensity while you're preparing for this single percentage of body fat, you're going to definitely lose muscle. So even in order to maintain, you have to still train with high intensity. And again, high intensity is not only heavier weights. High intensity is much more complex issue physiologically, and I have explained that in few videos, by the way. So go back, watch those videos where I talk about real progressive overload. So I understand by real progressive overload much more than many people who use that concept and talk about it have ever understood. It's not just adding more weight, it's much more than that. So if you lose intensity, you will simply lose muscle. If you go into very low single digit, you will probably not be able to grow muscle, but if you can maintain what you've got, you will still end up in very good shape, good size. How would you eat if you would eat only 2 times a day and work out between the 2 meals? Well, I would eat probably around 12. I would have probably 5, 6 eggs and maybe 300-400 grams of steak. And I would train around 3 or 4. And I would eat again around 8. Again, I would have maybe 1 pound of steak and a few eggs, and that would be it. A lot of people are doing that. Now, how much you can eat depends on individuals. Some people can eat 3 pounds of steak in one go. I remember when Nasser won his first title, heavyweight title in Yugoslavia in the days. He came back. He just put like 15 kgs in a year, and obviously this was due to very high intake of steroids. But nevertheless, he started eating much more protein than before. And I also have natural bodybuilders who, when they increase protein and eat a lot of protein 2 or 3 times per day, they start changing dramatically. Because most of the time, most people are simply grazing. They're eating a little bit all the time. So they're obsessed with food, they're hysterical, they're constantly in that sympathetic mode. Because, when you're stressed about, oh, I have to eat, 2 hours is passed. So you have to be relaxed. You have to eat when you are hungry, when the body signals that the body is ready to absorb. And the body will signal that via a hormone called ghrelin, which is hunger hormone. But if you eat every 2 hours, you will never produce ghrelin. So you're never hungry. And most likely, as most people do, you're going to get fat. And then before the show, you're going to start doing countless cardio because you will continue to build fat from carbs that you have to eat religiously. And that think about that logic. You eat carbs, you get fat, and then you do 2 hours cardio every day. And everybody's doing that, even professional bodybuilders. Not very intelligent approach, not very good economy. So think for yourself. But the best thing is, again, experiment, find out what works for you. I'm just giving you guidance, I'm giving you advice. Also, I'm telling you what I've done, and you should take the most of it. But unless you experiment on your own skin, this is just a discussion. It's not a prescription. Dr. Jocic, I'm 68 years old. I lifted for most of my life, mostly the wrong way, but I'm on your program and I love it. Is it unrealistic to make gains at this age? No, not at all. Muscles can grow at any time. They've done so many experiments. You can check these papers on people in care homes who were over 78 years old, and they never train anything, and they put them on weight training simply to make them able to stand up and move around. And after a few months of very light exercises, but still weight training, they started putting on muscle. So muscle can grow at any time, is not restricted by age. Now, there are other things that restrict, not just muscle growth, restrict everything with age. And this is obviously long periods of inactivity, injuries, under production of hormones for obviously high insulin resistance, etc., etc. So not necessarily training is the best thing that you can do at any time of your age, of your life, because now they're digging this now research. Like, we didn't know that 100 years ago, that muscle is the most important organ for tissue for longevity. Of course it is. When somebody is active all his life, he's going to be active when he's 70 and 80, 90 maybe, capable of moving, taking care of themselves. But if somebody is inactive and eating wrong, obviously sarcopenia happens, muscle loss, and then people are not able to take care of themselves anymore because they cannot move around, they cannot go up, down the stairs, go out, do shopping, cooking, whatever. So this is the best thing that you can do. Absolutely. You will see. You can, get in touch. If I can help, I will be happy to do it. But I have loads of clients who are over 60 now. I'm progressing on a daily basis. I have 20 clients who have started that 90 days challenge. And I think at least 7, 8 of them are over 60. And they have already made tremendous progress. So yes, it is possible. Nothing to worry about. Just keep going. What is the difference between animal-based protein and plant-based proteins? For example, kidney beans and the steak. Why is the first not as good? Well, there's a big difference. First of all, everything that you need, protein, fat, minerals, vitamins, everything is meat. Everything that you need, not just to grow muscles, but for healthy life and healthy metabolic state, metabolism, obviously, you will find in meat. None of it you will find in plants. So plants have because plants are not made for us to eat. Number one, protein in plants doesn't have essential amino acids that humans need. Other animals can eat plants, but they have different requirements for essential amino acids. They don't have as many as we need 9 essential amino acids. No plant has 9 essential amino acids. This is number one thing. Number two, all this food that you're mentioning, kidney beans, lentils, what else is it? I don't know, corn or similar, soya bean, that's the worst one actually. These foods are full of carbohydrates as well. You see, meat doesn't have any carbs. Eggs, they don't have any carbs. Life starts in the egg. So where are carbohydrates in egg? See, this is the best example to tell everybody who starts arguing that carbs are essential, that they are necessary. No, they're not. Because if they were necessary, then every egg would have carbs in there. So for life to start growing, carbs are non-essential, but protein and fat are absolutely essential. And everything else that is in the egg, this bunch of vitamins and minerals, I did the whole video on eggs only and explained that. Everything is there. Now, 100 grams of steak has 25 grams of protein. 100 grams of lentils has 9 grams of protein. That 9 grams of protein, people say, vegans or vegetarians say, oh, but I eat enough protein, I managed to have 150 grams. You may have 150 grams, but how much are you going to absorb? Because if you eat 150 grams from eggs and steak, you're going to absorb all of it. Your body will welcome it. But 150 grams of protein from plants, you won't absorb quarter of it because it's simply not complete. That protein is not complete. Not to mention anti-nutrients and toxic elements, which these plant foods are full of. I'll just mention a few. You have phytates. They basically rip your body of minerals, cause all kind of issues. Then you have lectins, especially in these kidney beans, and you have it in grains, and you also have lectins in lentils. And lectins are absolutely terrible for small intestine, for endothelial cells in the guts, because lectins are very unnatural for us, because they're not proteins, they're not carbs, they're a mixture of protein and carbs, and they have the ability to penetrate through the lining of small intestine. So what else to say? Lectins cause autoimmune diseases. The most famous one is Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease is literally holes on your small intestine. That comes from eating food which most people don't react properly. This is why people, when eat beans and stuff, they get bloated, they get gas. This is not a joke. You don't get in that state just because you have eaten beans. Oh, they're more fiber. No, it's not fibers, it's lectins. Lectins are basically poisoning you. So it's very dangerous, and there are people who can eat them and thrive, but there are a lot of people who cannot and have problems with it. So why would you play with fire in the first place? I mean, if it's your religious or philosophical decision, fine. I would never argue against that. But if you are reasoning on the basis of science or health or muscle growth, fat loss, yes, we can argue about that. That's not a question. But simply, this is very, very inferior protein comparing to steak and eggs. Hello from Chicago. I'm following your 2 to 3 meals a day and seeing great results. All I see online is chicken and rice or cream or rice, 5-7 meals per day. Is this because they're using insulin? Yes, a lot of people are on insulin because insulin is very powerful hormone and it helps body to store more glycogen in the muscles, but also fat. So, bodybuilding community is not very intelligent community. I have to say that, unfortunately, but it's true. So there's no point lying about it. People will do everything to get bigger. And the best proof of that people will do everything to get bigger are obviously terrible things that have happened in bodybuilding community in the last few years. A lot of people have died. A lot of people are going on dialysis. All kind of problems they have because of this over because of the abuse of steroids, insulin, and growth hormone. When you're taking insulin, you have to have carbs around you all the time because insulin without carbs can bring you into hyperglycemia. So you can die because your brain will just run out of sugar. This is why people who are on insulin, they carry bags with them full of sweets, rice, pasta, honey, jam. There is a reason for that, obviously. Sugary drinks, because people collapse when they run out of sugar. So they have to have that all the time. But this is metabolically absolute catastrophe. So good luck to everybody. I wish everybody all the best. But I would be much happier if people in bodybuilding community were thinking a little bit more. That's my wishful thinking. Let me see what else is there. Opinion on supplements like L-glutamine and essential amino acids. Well, again, if you think physiology, for example, and what I just said earlier on about slow absorption of protein because you mix protein and fat, then where would you fit taking amino acids there? You see, human body is not created to thrive on amino acids only. Yes, protein with fat, with all the vitamins and minerals and everything which is in meat and fat. Yes, this is how we are. But to take amino acids, mix them with some sugary drinks because after the workout or during the workout, now they're calling it intro workout, post, before. I mean, it's just hype. Supplement industry is doing that in order to take your money. So if you believe in that, fine. But just ask yourself, Serge Nubre, Sergio Oliva, right? One and only. And then Arnold. Did they have L-glutamine? Did they have essential amino acids? No, they didn't. So how come they become so big? And they develop bodies which are unsurpassed, according to me, up till now. How did they do that? They ate steak and eggs, or just steak predominantly, like Serge Nubre, and they ate 2-3 times per day. And they train with high volume, high number of sets and high number of reps. Yes, they took steroids, but amount of steroids they took comparing to what are people taking today is kindergarten. Even beginners now use what these guys used in 70s and 80s. How do I know that? Because I met them, I spoke to them. I I wanted to know everything, and I know everything about all of them. And I know what happened in 90s because I also knew very well top guys in the game in 90s. With some of them I even shared the flat. So I was there when they were preparing all these mixtures of different compounds and stuff, and comparing to 70s and 80s, this was it's a joke. So it's not steroids that people depended on in 70s and 80s, it was training. So if you're a natural bodybuilder, or if you're taking small amount of steroids, everybody who is listening to me now should remember that you will have to rely on your workouts as the most important factor for muscle growth. If you are taking a lot of steroids, insulin, and growth hormone, you can get away with anything. You can train 1 set per exercise, 2 sets per exercise. You can do high intensity, tear your biceps, triceps, shoulders, everything. You can get away with anything. But you are not growing anymore because of bodybuilding, because of workouts. You're growing because of chemicals. How's that possible? One would say, but no, you still have to do some training. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'll give you an example. When elderly people who have sarcopenia, they put them on steroids and they build muscle. People with HIV, they get steroids and they build muscle. They don't go to the gym. What about cattle that we eat? They put them on steroids and they grow like weed. Did you ever see them in the gym doing bench press or squats? No, they don't. They just grow. So people are taking so much chemicals right now that training has almost become irrelevant. All that you see on Instagram, that you see on YouTube, performance, this is all show. It's all marketing. They do that just to attract attention, to get subscribers. But the real story is that the main factor for growth in their case is chemistry. In 70s and 80s, people had to train very hard. I competed in 80s. I had to train even twice a day, which I don't approve now, but we had to do it because that was the only way to get in shape. There wasn't any other way of doing it. Nobody did cardio in those days. Nobody. I never did cardio to get in shape, but I was training twice per day. I was training 30 sets per muscle. Why? Because I had to. Everybody had to. Everybody did. And then 90s arrived. And all of a sudden, people started taking too much chemicals. And then the story started developing. Oh, you need to train less. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You train less, but then you do 1 hour cardio in the evening or in the morning. And that combination of high intake of steroids with that nonsense training approach, which, by the way, has crippled so many top professional bodybuilders and others, is an absolute disaster for everybody. This is not healthy. This is not the way that you're going to train forever. This is not the best way to train for longevity. This is why people who are younger than me now, famous bodybuilders, can't even train anymore. So they are doing stretching, they are doing Pilates, they are doing yoga, they are doing all kind of whatever, because they can't train anymore and they don't look very good and they look very old. And why? Because of this combination of chemicals, nonsense workouts, endless cardios, and this is what you get. So I'm not making it up. Most of you probably know this very well. So do your research if you don't, and you will see that on the end of the day, if your workouts are the most important factor for muscle growth and fat loss, you are doing a great job, and you will be doing it for long, long time. All right. Birker, whatever. it is name, if it's right. Thank you very much for your support as well. And you are asking did Serge Nubre write books about his training and diet methods like Vince Gironda or Frank Zane? I have only seen secondary sources about him. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. He was very introvert guy. Many actually were very that I came across with these famous guys, and he would talk. If you ask him, if you go to Paris and you talk to him, and he would tell you things. I mean, he wouldn't tell you anything exceptional or mysterious. He would just say, "Look, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm eating. You can watch me training, and this is what I did." So I don't think he wrote any books, but I've seen him training, so I know exactly what he did. I don't need to read any books about him. And also there are other people. Some people even commented on the videos that I did with Serge Nubre, and they said, "Yeah, I train in the same gym in Belleville in Paris, and I saw Nubre doing this and that." And this is great because eyewitnesses were there. Eyewitnesses are probably the most important when it comes not just to people who didn't write, but also people who did write. One of the most famous of these people who wrote things but actually never did what he wrote and tried to teach the world was Mike Mentzer, because Mike Mentzer never trained heavy duty principles that he promoted and he sold to the world. And so many people are so hypnotized with that, and they are linked to that heavy duty for whatever reasons, probably because it's easier to do a few sets than to do 30 sets. Serge Nubre did up to 40 sets. I recorded the video, which is going to come soon. And I think the title is The High Volume Legends That Build Real Muscle. In that video, I'm talking about Sergio Oliva, I'm talking about Serge Nubre, Arnold, and I talk about Tom Platz. And I'm explaining the principles they all followed. They were all the same. The high volume, high reps, short rest between the sets. Nubre was known to have the shortest rest between the sets. He would rest anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds. Arnold would rest anywhere 60, sometimes to 90 for legs. Oliva the same. But they all did a lot of sets per session. Again, obviously, the reason for that is that they relied on workouts is the most important factor for muscle growth. So to build a muscle and get in shape, you have to rely on workouts. That's gone. Now, as I mentioned about Mike Mentzer, there are eyewitnesses who saw him training. Tom Platz saw him training. Roy Callender saw him training. Boyer Coe saw him training. Johnny Little, his biographer, saw him so many times training. And all of them said the same thing. Franco Colombo as well. You can see the on YouTube. And they all said the same thing. Mentzer trained the same as everybody else. And when he trained like everybody else, high volume, no heavy duty, he never did, he was in the best shape of his life. He ended up winning Mr. Universe in Acapulco in 1978 with a perfect score of 100. Nobody ever won that. That's called perfect score. Every judge gave him first place. So how did he do that? High volume. So what happens with heavy duty? When he started promoting heavy duty, do you know what happened? Him and his brother would go to the gym first thing in the morning before gym opened. I think gym was opening at 7. They would be there at 5 or 6. They had the keys of the gym, and nobody would see them train. So we don't know what they've done. Why? I suspect because they both did like everybody else, but he started selling heavy duty. So it wouldn't be very good for people to see him doing 30 sets for back while he's saying, all you need to do, 4 movements, 1 set each. So, yes, Serge Nubre didn't write books, but we have lots of eyewitnesses, myself being one, and we know quite a lot about his training methods. Let me see what else is there. How to have energy on carnivore diet during workouts? Well, during a workout, you rely mainly on glycogen. So glycogen is stored carbohydrate in your muscles. And this is what you use when you do your weight training, your workout. Glycogen in the muscle is stored days before you have entered the gym and trained that muscle. So let's say you are doing chest on Monday. After your workout, the same day and the next day, the body will replenish glycogen one way or another. You eating carbs or not eating carbs, it will build that glycogen because it has to do that. Is the compensation that has to replenish what has been lost in the muscles, and that was glycogen. So the body will use, if you don't eat carbohydrates via gluconeogenesis, your body will replace glycogen the next day or the same day. So when you go to the gym following Monday, glycogen in your chest will be there. So there is no mantra about energy. You don't need any carbs before workout, during workouts. This is just a nonsense. The best workouts that I have done were always first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning on empty stomach. I remember those days when I competed. I trained twice a day. First thing in the morning, I would just have coffee, half an hour, 40 minutes before workout, and then I would do my training session. Why were they the best workouts? Because I didn't have any food in my stomach. What am I doing now? I'm not training first thing in the morning, but I train good 3 or 4 hours after my meal. So when my digestive system is almost, especially the first stage of the digestive system is almost done, empty, then the blood can flow wherever I want, chest, legs, back, whatever, doesn't matter. But when you have food in your stomach, a lot of blood goes into that area. And then when you start training, the body has to shut down digestion and start sending blood wherever is needed. But this is not easy. And this is why I feel discomfort and you're always limited. So nobody who knows professional sport, they don't train immediately after meals. Only this new world, I see them eating just before the workout. So I don't know really what they're doing, but obviously they don't understand much how human physiology works. So you don't need anything special in order to get energy for your workout. What do you think about the push-pull leg split? Good or bad to pair shoulders with chest? So in couple actually of my books, one is Training for Beginners. I have outlined few different training system splits that I advise, and push pull legs or push legs pull is one of them. Now the problem with this is when you do chest, shoulders, and triceps, you cannot do enough. You can't do 5 movements. You can't do 20 sets for chest and then 20 sets for shoulders and 20 sets for triceps. It's impossible. So you have to limit the number of sets, which is fine if you're a beginner. So you can do 2 movements for chest. Let's say you do bench press, you do dips, or you do bench press and incline press. And then for shoulders, you can do lateral raises, upright row. And then for triceps, you do push down, French press. You do 3 sets each, and that's okay. Because if you're a beginner, but as you start progressing, you will have to split this, because this is not going to be sustainable anymore, because you need to pay more attention to your chest, to your shoulders, to your triceps. So then from 3 sessions per week, push-pull legs, I would advise 4, which will be, let's say, chest and abs day 1, legs day 2, back would be workout number 3, and then shoulders and arms number 4. And then eventually, if you move to 5, I would split every session will be dedicated to one particular muscle group. So yes, it's good if you are a beginner, but as you progress, it will be limiting. Another question is abs training every 5-7 days or more often? Well, abs are abdominal muscles. Rectus abdominis is just another muscle that should be trained once a week, like every other muscle. And if you do it properly, it's more than enough. People always misunderstand and think if I do abs 2-3 times every day, I'm going to burn more fat on my belly. But that doesn't work like that. So you can't just, there is no spot training. You can't burn fat training that particular spot of your body more. So fat is nothing to do with abs. So if you train your abs once a week properly, as I advise, then you're going to develop very good abdominal section. And when the day arrives that you lose all your body fat there, then you're going to see your beautiful 6 or 8 pack as well, depending how lean you get. And that will be thanks to your proper workout. So you cannot overtrain your abdominal muscles. What is the best way to train for longevity in 30s and 40s? Well, the best way to train for longevity is exactly what I'm talking about all the time in all my videos. You do high number of sets, high number of reps. Don't go too heavy. Do controlled reps. Pay attention to time under tension. Rest enough between the sets. Eat as I advise. Never chase the weights, because usually people get injured because of heavy weights. So when the weight is heavy or too heavy and you do low number of reps, you put too much stress on your connective tissues. So if you are doing 20 reps for squats, it's not the same as you do 6, because if you do 6, you're going to use much heavier weights. With 20, you're going to use less weights, but you will stimulate more muscle fibers and less your connective tissue. Now, when you do 6 reps or 5 reps or 4 reps and you use a lot of weight, most of the stress will be on your connective tissue. So week after week, month after month, year after year, and stress will accumulate to the point of injury. And that is happening more often than you can imagine. Not just for legs, or chest, shoulders, elbows get injured all the time, lower back, knees, hips. So, yeah, just follow the advice that I'm doing, because I wouldn't be doing anything against myself. I'm not doing anything to contradict myself, to injure myself. I'm doing everything to be in as good shape as long as possible. Greetings from Germany. Thank you. Greetings too. And also Los Angeles. Thank you very much for your message. What do you recommend? If I get too fatigued doing your workout plan, am I cutting down body fat and so eating quite minimally? Worried if I eat more, I won't lose much fat. Well, again, I mean, this is the balance between training and diet. So you have to understand two things. The best training split and training method is the sustainable one, is the one that you can do all the time for the rest of your life. Right? Number one. Number two, the best diet is sustainable diet, the one that you can follow, not just this month, not just for summer, not just for wedding or Christmas or whatever. Diet that you can follow all the time without interruption. So if you can manage to get those two, and you can if you watch my videos, then everything is fine. There is nothing. If you get fatigued, of course you're going to get fatigued. I get fatigued as well. When I finish my workout, I'm not dancing, I am tired, because bodybuilding is not a joke. I don't comfort anybody. Bodybuilding is not fun. If you want to build muscle, you have to train hard. And I talk about that intensity all the time. My sessions are very hard. There are very few. Nobody can train with me in the gym. Even people who are half my age, they can't even do half of my session. So my sessions are hard. And you're not going to make any progress if you don't get fatigued. So don't worry about it. You will get tired. So fine. What's wrong with it? You get tired. You relax after that. You eat properly. You sleep properly, and you'll get recovered. So you go back next day and you train again. There is no mystery there. You can't just do bodybuilding and feel, always jolly. It's not going to happen. So follow my advice on training and nutrition. And I talk about it all the time in my videos. So you will find a way to eat enough to burn body fat and also train properly so you don't overtrain. Overtraining is a different issue. 8x8 by Vince Gironda. Can it be applied to every exercise in single session? Well, I'm not sure about that. 8x8, first of all, is impossible to do 8x8 if you go every set close to failure. If I do 8 reps, 1 rep shy of failure, there is no way I'm going to do 8 reps in the second set. I don't understand this. I don't know how they did it. I never spoke to him. I don't know what this means, but it doesn't make much sense to me. When I put certain weight and I do, let's say for chest 12 reps, my second set will be 10. The third set will be 8 or 9. The fourth set maybe 8 again. Then I do another set. Then next set is going to be 6, 5, 7. That's my last set. There is no way I can go close to failure and do 8 sets of 8 reps, period. So good luck to everybody, whoever believes in Vince Gironda or similar systems. But I'm not very impressed with this. He is much better when it comes to diet, but training-wise, this is unsustainable. I mean, it's just unexplainable. So you have to take a very little weight, and you don't go to failure, close to failure. So yeah. Thank you for your channel and diet advice. I have 6-pack now at the age of 56. Fantastic. Why not? Everybody should have 6-pack on the age of 56, even on 60. Why not? So you see, it's just a prejudice that you should look like this at this age, and at that age you should look like. No, you can look as good as you want, depending how much you want. So some people want more than others. This is why they're more disciplined, they're more consistent. Some people want it less. This is why they don't get it. Will you do any video showing how to execute exercise properly? You talk about the perfect way to train, as would be great if you can show us a video. All right, I've done that, and this is my bodybuilding blueprint course all about. Now, I have a few hundred videos on my channel, and I share a lot of information which is pure gold, and a lot of people say that, for free. Now, it took me months to finish this bodybuilding blueprint course. Photographers, editors, I had to be in the gym for weeks, filming this session, that session, filming it again, months and months. This is why my bodybuilding blueprint course cannot be free. And it's made of 8 videos in which I personally demonstrate and explain the most effective exercises for every single muscle group. 6 videos devoted to 6 muscle groups. 7th video is video on nutrition, and 8th video is video on most effective training systems. So 8 videos, half an hour each in average. And this is the blueprint course, that training workout blueprint course, which I have published recently, and you can access that on my website, but it's not free. So I've done enough for free, but there are some things that it took me a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money to actually produce them. And this is why my bodybuilding blueprint course is not free. And this is actually a place where I explain everything. There is the new video coming soon, although there are videos in which I talk about perfect form, and the new video in which I talk about 4 exercises for arms, which you need, nothing else than that. And I explain that there, but I don't explain all exercises for arms. I just explain 2 most important ones. So there are a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel for free, obviously, but for the most detailed explanation, which I personally demonstrate and explain in detail, as I said, is the bodybuilding blueprint course. So whoever is interested, more than welcome. You can get it on my website. A huge fan from Australia. You have changed my life. I'm very glad. There are a lot of people that have succeeded following my advice, and that makes me extremely happy. Well done. Let me see what else. We go a few more minutes, guys. What do you think about training fasted? Yeah, I just said it. I don't know if you were on. And yeah, it's very good to train fasted. There is no problem. Why would you not train fasted? What's the problem? Your body will be very happy to train fasted first thing in the morning, or as I do, I almost train fasted because I train 3 hours after I eat anyway. So no problem. That's very good. Can one lose fat and gain muscle by eating red meat and its associated fat, eggs, and some organs until satiated whenever hungry? Usually twice a day. Yes, of course you can. I just talked about it. You can eat twice a day, no problem. You can eat once. You can eat 3 times, 4 times. It doesn't matter really, as long as you don't eat 6, 7 times a day. I personally eat 3 times. It fits me perfectly. Some people eat twice, no problem whatsoever. You just need to make sure that you eat all the necessary protein that you need. If you are 100 kgs lean, relatively, you should eat around 300 grams of protein, 150 grams of fat. You can eat it in 2 meals, you can eat in 3 meals. It's up to you. So, depending on individuals, absolutely perfect. Yes. Do you ever reduce the weight on an exercise halfway through if you reach 8 reps on a certain weight but want to do more sets? Well, I explained it. I usually take the weights that I can lift, 12 reps first set, and I do 4 or 5 sets in that particular exercise. And then I don't change the weight. And the last set will usually be the one that I drop under 8. So if I do, let's say 12, 10, 8, 8, I carry on. And if I hit 6, that's the last set. But I don't change the weight. No. Obviously, it takes time for that. As I explained, it takes, I mean, it's easy for somebody like me to say that, but this is how I do it. I do, for example, pull-ups. I don't know how many sets I'm going to do. I start with as many reps. I usually hit 12. And then I do it again. Maybe next set will be 10, and then again 10 and 10 and 9 and 8 and 8 and 7, and that's it. So sometimes it's 5 sets, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 7. I don't know. I never know. I don't have a notebook. I don't write because I'm training instinctively for a long time now. But I can do it. Other people cannot do it. People can't even do pull-ups. I never see anybody in the gym of 4,000 members, the biggest gym in London. Nobody is doing pull-ups anymore because it's too hard. And they're too fat because they eat their carbs. So they would rather go on pull down. Pull-ups, nobody does pull-ups. I still do pull-ups. I mean, I've been doing it all my life. I remember days when I used to do 40 pull-ups in one set. Believe it or not, 40. So it is individual, and it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna make you tired. Yes, like if anybody thinks that your workouts are gonna be fun and you're just gonna massage your muscles a little bit and go home happy and then get an amazing body, that is simply never gonna happen. If I'm doing reps 12, 11, 10, 10, for example, would you do any extra sets or reps or go higher or wait? Well, if the first set is 12 and that's near failure, and you do 11, 11, 10, 10, carry on. Carry on until you drop under 8. So why would you stop on 4 sets or 5 sets? Who said it? Nash said it. So what if I said it? I'm giving you guidance. I do 8, 9, sometimes 10 sets of leg press, depending on how I feel. I don't stop on 4 or 5. There is nothing magic about 4 or 5. If I do pull-ups, I just said I can do 7-8 sets. I did it like a couple of weeks ago. I just didn't even plan. I started doing it. I felt fantastic, and I did it. And then I did 5-6 sets of barbell bent over row, and I followed with whatever else I could have done. Hit probably 25-30 sets, and that's it. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to do it again. I'll try, but I may end up with 4. So you don't stop after 4 sets just because it has to be 4 per exercise. No, it doesn't have to be 4 per exercise. You can do as many sets, especially in the first exercise. You can do more sets. You can do 5, 6, 7, 10 if you want. Carry on doing it if you can, but follow the principles. So you need to start with first set close to failure, maybe 1-2 reps close to failure. Because if you do 12 and you can do 20, that weight is very light. So you're not doing anything. This is junk volume. You're just burning glycogen for nothing. You want to be close to failure. I don't advise going to failure because that's very taxing for tendons and ligaments. But near failure is almost the same as failure. The difference is much safer and is going to get you better for longer. If you go to failure, you will pay the price sooner or later. I used to go to failure. I was getting injured. I've been there. I've been everywhere. I've done every single training split, every single training techniques. I did supersets, negatives. I did force reps, giant sets, down the rack, strip down, name it. And I know what I'm talking about. I experienced everything. And I can tell you what is best for you. This is what I've been doing on my channel. So, yeah. Keep going until you drop under 8. So it doesn't have to be 4, it doesn't have to be 5 sets. Just keep going. Why am I having different energy levels every time I exercise? One day I have a lot of energy, but next time I have to go on energy, even though I'm doing carnivore and I'm eating okay. Well, energy in your body is not just what you eat, it's also dependent on your sleep. Energy also depends on your hormones. So if you were stressed at work, it's not going to be the same as if you were not stressed at work. So energy is very complex factor in your body. It doesn't only depend on your diet, stress, hormones, all kind of stuff, sleep. I did a video on that as well, in which I talk about the mental states and what you have to pay attention to in order to hit the best workouts that you can. So it's not necessarily always physical, it's also psychological. So you need to be able to juggle all those things. No, it's not just your physical existence, it's also your mental existence. So it's very complex. So basically, one has to be really master of life in order to juggle all these things perfectly. What is the best way to get my cortisol down? Well, there are many ways of lowering your cortisol. Number one is managing stress. So the 2 types of stress. One is voluntary, another one is involuntary. So voluntary stress is when you go to the gym, you stress yourself, and obviously you produce cortisol, which is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But involuntary stress is when you are stressed because of other factors and is against your will. And you can't do much about it. So you get stuck in traffic. There is nothing you can do about it. You can get stressed, or you can just, think that this is life and other people are also stuck. You put some music on, try to think about something else, try to manage, try to go around the stress. Don't face it, head on. Also, another good thing about de-stressing, number one is sleep. You need to sleep 8-9 hours. And the best sleep is if you go to bed before 11 o'clock, because this is something called circadian rhythm. And if you go to sleep at 2 in the morning and you sleep till 10, you say, oh, I still slept 8 hours. This is not the same sleep as if you go to bed at 11 and you wake up at 7, because that circadian cycle is actually the one when you produce your growth hormone and the body It's rhythm, which is in our DNA, is not necessarily individual, and this is how we have evolved for so long. And this is the circadian clock. So go to bed earlier, and you may feel much better. Also, long walks, outdoor walks. I just did a walk before I came to do the live. I went for 45 minutes walk in the park. This is the time when you relax, you look in the distance, you look in the trees, birds, sky, you think about something positive, breathe through your nose in order to flush your blood with nitric oxide, which is the most potent vasodilator, which is extremely important for everybody. And yes, there are ways. I did a video on that, outdoor walks, and also I did a video on cortisol. So watch them both. I hope you will get much more um, much more in detail explain the issue. Yes, meditation helps. When you recommend 20 sets per body part and you are doing a leg day, do you do 20, 25 sets total, or 20 sets quads and 20 sets hamstrings? Well, I do around 20 sets for quads, and then anywhere from 5 to 10 sets for hamstrings. Sometimes if I do more sets, maybe, I don't know, 25, maybe more for quads, then I leave hamstrings for different session. I don't do in the same session. But yes, I would usually start with leg extension. I start like 5 sets. Then I do leg press. Again, usually leg press goes more than 5 sets, 6, 7, 8 sets. Then the third exercise is going to be squats or hex squats, 4 or 5 sets. And I would end up with lunges. I just do body weight because my legs are already gone till I get to lunges. And I do maybe 25, 30 steps in a set and do a few sets, and that's it. And the number of sets will never be the same. It may be 20, maybe 25, maybe 18, depending on the day, depending again how I feel. Do you believe that the body's processing of endless supplements interferes with the normal metabolic process of muscle growth? Absolutely, yes. So I'm not a big advocate of extra supplementation. And there are some supplements that I see very important, like omega-3, vitamin D, and maybe vitamin C, especially if you're eating carbohydrates, because glucose and vitamin C, they have the same pathway in the body. So when you eat a lot of carbs, they compete. So glucose overtakes those pathways. So there is no way that vitamin C will be absorbed. So when you're on carnivore diet or low carb diet, you will absorb vitamin C much easier. And you can, even if you take some extra vitamin C, it's fine, but you will have enough vitamin C in organs, especially liver. And you don't need much anyway. We are not necessarily that dependent on vitamin C, but I'm not a big believer in huge amounts of supplements because we are not made to rely on supplements. There are a lot of people, I had a lot of clients, people who come to me be in really bad shape, really even obese, and not even much muscle on them. You know, when people are obese, they have very little muscle because their insulin resistance doesn't allow muscle cells to be fed properly. So they are starving their muscle cells. And then they bring the bag full of supplements, 20, 30 different bottles, to show me how healthy they are eating, actually. And this is sad, it's pathetic. And you wouldn't believe what I come across. So I'm not a big believer in supplements. Food is everything. Supplements are called supplements for a reason. So maybe vitamin D, K2, omega-3, a bit of vitamin C. Basically, that's it. Okay, guys, few more minutes, few questions. Mhm. Sometimes I need to stay away from the gym and come back after 3 weeks. What is the best way to go back to training? I feel like 4 day split is too hard after a long leave. So I don't know why you're not training where you are away. I mean, I never missed my training session, and I travel a lot as well. And even when I go on holidays or wherever, seminars, whatever I do, or for work, I always do something. If there is no gym, if I don't want to go to the gym, I will do maybe 10 sets of press ups. I will do 10 sets of crunches. I may do 5, 6, 10 sets of squats, body weight, high reps, half an hour, 40 minutes, amazing session. Why wouldn't you do that? You should not be inactive, because inactivity is not the best state of humans. We need to be active. So if there is no gym, do something in your hotel room or wherever you are. Do something with body weight, press ups, squats, lunges, crunches, V sits, anything. It will be much better. And then you go back into your normal routine when you come home. Okay, guys, I think we had enough for today. Thank you very much for everybody who helped the channel with your super chats and super stickers. And also thank you for all my members. You're all helping the channel, participating in that. I'm very grateful for that. And I will speak to you soon. I will do the live soon, maybe in a couple of weeks, but I will announce that on my channel and also with the short. So guys, thank you very much again for joining tonight, and see you soon.